Today, I thought I would share how to put together a mini palette for the tiny box because I have a new addition to my collection, and it is the whale and dolphin critters. So here is the die. They're so cute. So I thought I would share how I approach this. Here is how they look like put together as a tiny box. This is the whale and this is the dolphin. They're so amazing. And this is how they look in 2D, and this is what we will use to put together the mini palettes. As you can see here, I've already have some pre-work done. This is already an existing visual board that I have for my collection of the tiny critters for the tiny box collection from Lawn Fawn. Here is the whale, and then here is for the dolphin. Let's take a look at the previous mini palettes I have put together. As you can see here, I have 2D makes of each critter, and then it would include a label, the color scheme, and the accessories that it came with. But not every critter has an accessory, so if it doesn't, then I would not have that component. So with that, let's start putting together the mini palette for the whale and the dolphin die. I've already pre-written the label, which is the whale, and then because this die makes two different types of critters, but it's only one die, I then label it with the main name of the die, and then I would write down the alternative critter that it also makes. Then at least when I reference it back, then I know which is the main name I need to look for, and then I know what's the secondary or the third or the fourth type of animal that it could make. Once that is done, the labeling, we can then place the 2D versions of the critter right above it. And then after making that, while I'm die cutting the critters, I am also at the same time taking a sample of the cardstock that I used. For the whale, I have the teal color for his main body, and then I have the white for his secondary color. And for the dolphin, his main color is the gray, and then secondary is the white. Part of the color palette that I highlight does not include the cheeks or the eyes because it's always pink and black. So I don't really consider that noteworthy because it's not really part of the color scheme. It's just will always be that default. So I don't worry about those details. The next step for this is to know where the placement is. Because I know these are going to be ongoing collections, I wanted everything to kind of still look cohesive and similar in the way I lay it out. But because each critter kind of comes with an accessory or not, or have more colors than another would, I wanted to have a way of somehow making my mini palettes somewhat similar and consistent. Okay, hopefully that is close enough so that we can see the details. Okay, now that we have the label and the critter put down, then before I glue down anything, I would just roughly lay out the color palette. As you can see in the template, I only have that one bar there, but I do have dots, and then that's where it comes into play. The critter, I can just see that the ears take up to that spot. And does it have accessories? Yes, so I already have placed that. So everything's kind of laid out roughly. So then I would put that there, put the colors there, and then I'll pause, take out the template, and then as you can see, I will start from the bottom here because I have to take in account the tip of the ears. With this template, I would place it just above the ears because knowing the rough layout I already did, I have to stay pretty close down here to make everything fit in the space remaining. Placing that template right above the ears. Then as you can see, I only have two colors. So how do I center that within the card? Well, that's in between here. this spot and this spot. And when I move up for the 3 colors, then that's where these dots go in. From down here, the spacing is determining if when I have 3 colors, this is 1, 2, 3, and then when I have 2, it sits in between, so just 1 and 2. So that's where the template comes in and allowing me to know kind of where is best to place that and keep it consistent through all the other palettes from before and the ones to come. And when it comes to the accessory circle, because some have 2, 3, 1, it's all different. So with the cat we have 2, but as you can see in the template, I only have this 1 hole. But the 1 hole, it really is just so that I can always center when there's 1. So then I know it's center of the card. Perfect. So now when I don't have 1, then if I pull this down, it's very faint, but you can see from there and there's 2 little ticks. Can you see that? It's probably in focus or not, right there. And that is where I know where to place the accessory circles. I would pull it back down just above the top line of the color scheme, and then I would place that right above that tick, and then the second right above that tick. And then if I had the 3 accessories, then that's okay too, because the size of this palette, when it fits 3, it has to sit like this. So all I have to do is find out the center point, which the center comes in play, and then I would just put the other 2 right beside it where it fits. And I try to fit it within the stitch lines. And then that's it. It's more complicated when I talk about it than when it's kind of done. If we do the bunny, which is very, very simple, 1 color, so then I have the center line there, and then I know the color would just sit in the center. And then it has 2 accessories, so then there's no center one. If I pull that down, then it just sits on top of the 2 notches. And of course, when it's just something like the panda, there's the template there, the 3 colors, and then the accessory fits inside there. I hope that doesn't sound complicated. This is why this kind of grew organically, because when I first started, some had only 1 and then with 2, and then I'm like, well, how do I make sure I center them all properly and don't have to recalculate each time? This is how this kind of grew. So when you're putting together a palette and also thinking about making a template, allow that organic moment to happen and see how to kind of keep adjusting your template so that it fits how you're going to be laying out your palettes and how you want it to look. After all that being said, let's go back to the whale and the dolphin. No accessory, don't have to worry about that. The label is already down, the critter is already pre-sized, and then I've roughly laid out the colors. So once I figure that all out, then I go and put that all down with the double-sided tape. So let's do that now. So here is the back, and double-sided tape, just take that. And this part I don't mind eyeballing, it's just so that it sits above the label just a bit, and center it the best I can. And try not to be overly perfectionist because I'll be here forever. And then I will have double-sided on the blue or the teal color, and then take that off, and then replace this here, matching up the lines. And then here's the white, double-sided tape again, and finding that little tick there to center the 2 colors, and then pulling that up, and then that's it. So now, when I have a palette that sits beside it, I have to remember to consider this line here for the next one, because it also has 2. Place him down, about there. And then again with the 2 colors, let's take away the double-sided tape bring back the template. Now off camera, because I'm extra, I guess, for better or for worse, I would use a T ruler and then making sure that, you know, everything is in line. But, you know, honestly, because they're kind of close together, and if I can eyeball it, it's actually good enough, you know, but take it as far as you feel comfortable for yourself. So there is the gray, and then we're gonna do the white. And then we do the white here, the second take again, because again, it only has 2 colors. And take that away. And there we have the whale and the dolphin mini palette complete. When they sit side by side, they kind of line up. And in addition, I also want to note why I have 2 colors, a gray and a Kraft color backing. It's because I use the Michael's Recollection paper. It's inexpensive and easy for me to get. I don't have to use special paper. The gray and the Kraft seems to be neutral enough for most of the crafting that I do, for it to have something to highlight the item I'm putting on. The default for me is actually the gray, but the Kraft came in because sometimes, as you can see, the dolphin is also gray. So he won't jump out, and he would kind of blend into the gray. That's why I have 2 colors, and that's why, even though these 2 are blank, I chose to put the dolphin and the whale on here side by. I wanted to keep them side by side, so then I had the gray and the Kraft. But honestly, I can also lift this up and put a Kraft so that I can start the whale there. But I didn't want to bother. I just kind of did it like that. That was so long-winded. I am so sorry. Just to put these mini palettes together for what seemingly seemed very simple for the whale and dolphin, but had such a large backstory with all the other critters I had in my collection. And hopefully through all that, there's something you can take away, and hopefully you have a way that you can create one of these palettes for yourself. And yeah, just so that we can easily reference what it is. We don't have to think about color scheme if at last minute we need something done. If we have more time to make something, then we can play around with the color palettes again. But if I wanted a quick reference and I wanted to make something without thinking about all the little details, I just come here and I know what that is. I'm very thankful for your time, and there was something, you know, that you can take away from, then I am glad to be able to share this with you. Happy crafting, and thank you for sticking around with this rambling. Bye.